But yes, good morning, everyone. Hopefully your Friday's going well. This is going to be, first of all, a bit of a short one here. We're just going to go through the patch notes that just released. Technically yesterday now. So we are going to be going through these really quick, and then we're going to be actually jumping into the game afterward. So, one thing to note, and the first thing they have listed here actually, is they have over 80 new Foulborn unique items. I am very much looking forward to discovering these. I did really quickly want to mention, though, if you are someone that is interested in looking them all up, I'm personally not going to, just because I like, seeing them when they drop and kind of exploring as people kind of bring them up. But if you go to poedb.tw / for me US /Foulborn, they have everything, I believe, data mined and listed there. So if that's something you're interested in taking a look at, that's where you would go. We won't be going over all the Foulborn today, obviously, because I'm not going to be spoiling myself like that, but if you want to, that's totally fine. So, increase the amount of graft blood and wound gifts you get back from the Breach Hive encounters in areas. These buffs are mostly prominent at higher levels, with up to 50% more graft blood in level 83 maps. I know a bunch of people had mentioned that just in general, graft blood was very slow to gain, so I'm assuming this is why they did that. The fortresses also grant up to 25% more. Now, that is on the high end, so we're not going to see as much benefit earlier on, but still better. Growing wound gifts require 40% less graft blood to grow on the Genesis tree, which I believe is just the grafts themselves, like the little arms, which is nice because then you can actually try and get more. Increase the number of monsters that spawn with each wave in regular Breach Hive encounters and maps, up to 80% more in 83 maps. Wow. So normal Breach Hive, I believe, is just the arm sticking out of the ground, and then when you run over it, it expands, which is nice because that means then it's going, one, you're going to get more monsters, and two, it's going to be easier to stabilize. So good overall. Increase the breakable Hive pack spawners by 40% maps. So this is something I didn't know. I thought it was just the purple nodes that are on the map when you're in a defensive hive location. I thought it just increases the amount of monsters that spawned. Apparently it's actually waves, which we'll get into a sec here. Slightly increase the monster packs spawned during a hive. Slightly increase the number of skill objects granted by Aelith in Breach Hive encounters and maps, which I believe is like the heal her, shield, bombard them, that kind of thing. Slaying it that was Esh and it that was Tul will now grant players graft blood. Well, that makes sense. I wonder how much it is, though. I'm assuming it would be a decent chunk if it's the bosses, right? In Breach Hive encounters, destroying a burnable Hive pack spawner, which are the little nodes, will now release a wave of purple flame, destroying all walls within a 7.5 meter radius. The wave can chain react, causing any other spawner objects burnt to release additional waves. Okay. That's cool. I mean, that means you can You might have a harder time if you're using the walls to funnel them because it'll clear a bigger area. But I wonder if the chain reaction actually multiplies it. So for example, if you have like 3 in a row, you hit the first one, it expands to the second one, that one expands, hits the third one. If it chain reacts like that, do you get more monsters than just running over those 3 individually before? It's not really clear on that. Added a variety of obstructions to the center of Hive Fortress encounters to channel monster paths. Oh, that's nice. So when you're defending Aelith in that center area of the sphere, I guess circle is better. Apparently, I'm assuming that's where it is. Which is kind of nice. It just depends on how they do it. Because adding stuff like that means also that you can get stuck on things more often. You can now vendor 5 womb gifts to receive a random one in return. Thank you. I have a use for the earlier on ones now. The Genesis tree will now show a confirmation prompt if you have pending changes when closing it. That's fair. Fix the flame aura that burns breach hive walls having a visual radius lower than the actual burn radius. Okay. Fix an issue where wound gifts could not be filtered by item level in item filters. Oh, there you go. Alright, let's get to general improvements. There are some Scarab changes. Scarab of Divinity now has a limit of 3 from 2 and causes up to 3 additional rare monsters in areas to be Pantheon touched from 2. So you're not only getting like a 33% increase from a single Scarab, now you can double it, which is nice. Titanic Scarab of Legend causes unique monsters in the area to have 4 additional modifiers from 2. Okay. All Flame Ember of Propagation now substitutes approximately 50% more monsters in the area. That's nice. So you can, especially if there's like specific packs and stuff you're hunting with them, it becomes much easier, especially if you're going for like specific things. And drops out of them. Legion monsters broken out of affected areas by Legion Scarab of Eternal Conflict gain approximately 30% higher reward for each time they're broken out. Oh. That's pretty nice. I wonder how interesting your screen quality will be if you break them out like over and over again. Monsters from Abyss in areas affected by Abyss Scarab of Profound Depth now have approximately 30% higher reward for each prior pit in the Abyss. Okay. Torment Scarab of Possession now has a limit of 3 from 4, so down by 1, and causes rare monsters in the area to have a quarter chance to be possessed by up to 3 tormented spirits from 1. Oh. Wow. You could get some really spicy rares with that. Torment Scarab now has tormented spirits in an area have a 50% chance to be set free when possessed monsters are slain from 25. Double chance. That's pretty nice. Horn Scarab of Nemesis now has a limit of 2 from 1. And Horn Scarab of Bloodlines now causes magic monsters in the area to have an additional modifier. This is in addition to the previous behavior. Beyond Scarab of Hemophilia now grants characters that kill beyond rare monsters in the area have a 30% chance to gain their modifiers for 20 seconds. This is in addition to previous behavior. Oh, that's nice. Unique items added to the core game in 3.27.0 can now be selected for Voidborn Reliquary and Valdo's Puzzle Box submissions. Stackable items will no longer be merged into existing item stacks when control clicking in the Market Stash tabs. That's nice. Fixed a bug where Avoidance and Attribute crafting recipes was missing from the Maelstrom of Chaos unique map. Draconaris Wilhelm Firebland's... Oh my goodness. Flame Brand's Fireball Strike now deal 45% less damage. Yeah, I saw a couple people die, especially on hardcore to him. As well as I think they fixed a bug regarding some stuff as well. Forest Warrior Cyclone now does 37.5% less damage and lowered the damage of Lightning Arrow by 37.5% on several monsters that use that skill. Okay, so the player's skill doesn't get that damage debuff. It's just a monster thing. Okay. Got some general bug fixes. Fixed a bug where Fortify Mastery's 2% reduced duration of ailments inflicted on you per fortification did not apply to bleed and poison on you, and instead affected your bleed poison duration on enemies. Oh. That's kind of funny. Replica Dragon Fang's Flight could generate with an empty gem entry. These amulets were attempting to grant +3 levels to Null Gem, thereby doing nothing. These amulets now grant +3 levels to Kinetic Fusillade. Okay. Experience progression of Kinetic Rain and Kinetic Rain of Impact were incorrectly set to that of a gem starting at required level 12, not 28. Using currency in maps, such as on Strongbox instances, could use currency from your... Wait, that was a bug? You could use currency from your map device rucksack. I thought that was intentional. That was really handy, actually. Okay. Omen of... Amelioration? I hope, I don't know if I'm saying that right. And Omen of Bequeathal are no longer consumed on death in situations where you would not lose experience for dying. Fair. Effects from the player that converted monster physical damage to an element were also increasing the amount of damage that from that element based on the percentage of physical damage converted in the player's the monster's level. This would have affected Elementalist Shaper of Flames passive, Pyroshock Clasp unique belt, and Combs Binding unique belt. So I guess Elementalist is going to be a lot more tanky than they were perceiving themselves to be earlier. Fixed a bug where some ignites inflicted by a handful of endgame bosses were dealing up to 2 to 3 times the damage than they should be. The affected bosses were the Enslaver, Sasan the Bandit Lord, Vika Vox, and Nashta the Usurper. Fixed a bug where Leap Slam was unable to trigger graph skills that required the player to attack to trigger them. That's kind of funny. Also fixed a bug where if you stunned the Incarnation of Dread during its Contraction Fire Circle skill, it would leave an invisible damage over time effect. Oh no. The Incarnation of Dread can no longer be stunned when performing the skill. Okay. Fixed a bug where Glacial Shield Swipe lost bonuses to melee damage when using a wand in the main hand. Kinetic Fusillade projectiles not showing up on the client when fired by totems or sacred wisps. Kinetic Fusillade visual effects spawning in the incorrect height on some terrain. A visual bug where Penance Brand would leave behind brands on enemies that did nothing? Oh no. That's kind of funny though. You see an entire screen covered in brands that are just sitting there. Some Bloodline Ascendancy nodes which granted skills did not grant the skills in Ruthless, which is interesting. Disabled the 3-to-1 vendor recipe for Foulborn unique items. Wait, what? I didn't know there was a 3-to-1. Well, that sucks. It doesn't say they deleted it or got rid of it. It just says disabled, so I wonder if there's an issue with it right now. And they just kind of flicked the switch off, kind of. Vendors unrelated to async trade were showing a price difference warning. Okay. Collection icons above Faustus would remain visible when it shouldn't. Item filters could interpret exact string matches for non-exact matches, or vice versa. Fix a map device window showing occasionally when killing a boss in a memory line map. Fix a bug where chess pieces from the Chronomancer supporter pack could not be accredited to your guild. Client crash relating to the Oracle helmet. And 2 separate instance crashes. Also for controller, added the ability to quick feed fruits to the Genesis tree when playing on controller. Very nice. So generally, I mean, I don't know why. First of all, I didn't even know this existed. To be fair, I didn't try because we kept most of the Foulborn uniques. Actually, all of them. But I wonder why this is disabled. But yeah, all good updates so far. I haven't really used a lot of these scarabs this league, so it's a little hard for me to really comment too much on these. Although I am excited to see this one, because we do have a Legion as our clearing oh my goodness, my brain. Our league mechanic that we're using. So that's interesting. I also bet that this one is going to murder people. The fact that they have a chance to be possessed by 3 separate spirits, and technically you can stack this. If you stack this 3 times, it's a quarter chance for each, I'm assuming. But that means you could potentially have 9 tormented spirits. I don't know if this means that each scarab possesses it up to 3, or 3 is the total maximum, no matter what. If it's per scarab, that's hilarious. If it's not, I guess it just increases the chance that they will have up to 3, because it'll roll 3 separate times on that quarter chance. But yeah. Also, all of the Keeper League improvements and fixes, very nice. More graph blood, cheaper graphs in general. More quality of life. I will have to take a look at, where is it here? This one. Added a variety of obstructions to the center of the Hive Fortress encounters to channel monster paths. I'm interested to see what those obstructions are. Because again, this could be a, depending on how it's implemented, could be more of a hindrance than aid, but we'll probably see that today at some point. So, but yeah, overall, great patch notes, great updates. Looking forward to playing. As far as our YouTube video goes, again, one more time, I'm not going over the uniques right now, but if you search POEDB, and there is a Foulborn section, it lists all of the Foulborn that were mined from the files, I believe, or at least most of them, as well as it shows which modifiers the Foulborn will remove, which is honestly very handy. So again, if you're interested in taking a look at over 80 new unique items, definitely give that a shot. I am saving myself for the surprise of finding them, but yeah. So hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you join us for actually playing the game in a moment here. But as always, if I don't see you later, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Friday and weekend now. And as always, have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.